The waitress passed by my table again, pretending not to notice the untouched champagne flute and the rapidly cooling steak. I gave her a tired smile and waved off her concerned look. I couldn't bring myself to explain that I'd been sitting there alone for almost 2 hours. Dressed in my best navy dress, hair done, nails freshly painted, a whole evening carved out for a promotion dinner that no one showed up to. Not no one. Just my family. I glanced at my phone again, though I already knew what it said. Dad, you're not exactly a priority right now. The words stung more because of how casually he sent them. No apology. No excuse. Just a blunt rejection that hit harder than any silence could. And then, like a knife sliding deeper, a notification popped up. Cousin Melissa posted, "Family night out for the real success story." Attached was a group photo at some lakeside bar, all of them. Mom, Dad, my brother Chase front and center, grinning ear to ear beside a gleaming new jet ski. My brother had apparently made a killer side hustle flip, and the whole family had dropped everything to celebrate. I looked around the empty table again, the space where their faces should have been. I'd reserved this place weeks ago. Sent reminders. Paid a deposit. I was the first in our family to make it to senior management at a Fortune 100 company, and they couldn't be bothered to show up.
Correction, they chose not to.
I blinked back the sting in my eyes, lifted my glass, and toasted myself silently. To Emily Carson, the invisible daughter. The check came. $1,940. I'd prepaid for the prix-fixe menu for 6. I added a tip, smiled at the waitress, and walked out with a quiet grace that took every ounce of restraint I had. When I got home, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I did what I always do. I handled things. I opened my banking app. Mortgage payment scheduled for the 15th. Cancelled. Automatic grocery transfers for my parents. Deleted. Monthly insurance premium I'd been covering for Chase's Jeep. Gone. I pulled up the spreadsheet I'd been keeping. Every dollar I'd paid on their behalf since 2020. 3 years. Thousands of dollars. Never a thank you. Not once. I printed out the totals. Highlighted the current outstanding mortgage balance. Scribbled 2 words on a yellow sticky note. Let him pay it. It was almost midnight when I pulled up to my parents' house. The jet ski sat proudly in the driveway, wrapped in a bow like some kind of twisted trophy. I walked up to the door and taped the note and spreadsheet right across the glass. No drama. No speech. I got back in my car, exhaled, and for the first time in a long time, I felt something sharp give way inside me. Not pain, but clarity. They didn't just miss my dinner. They missed the last free ride they'd ever get from me. I was always the one they didn't worry about. The good one. She'll figure it out, daughter. I did figure it out. I studied while my brother Chase threw house parties. I got a job while he wrecked a car. I worked my way through college while he bounced between passion projects. And every time he screwed up, they clapped him on the back for learning from it. Every time I succeeded, they acted like it was expected. I remember the day I bought my first car outright. No loan, no cosigner. I drove it straight to my parents' house, beaming. My dad barely looked up from the game. That's nice, Sam. 10 minutes later, Chase rolled in and announced he'd started a dropshipping business. Mom lit up like it was Christmas morning. It didn't matter what I did, not really. Chase just had to exist to be celebrated. I had to bleed effort just to be tolerated. When their finances tanked, medical bills, bad investments, my dad losing his job, I didn't think twice. I offered to help. Quietly, respectfully. They never asked me for the full picture, and I never gave it. I just started paying. First it was the mortgage. Then groceries. Then the car insurance. I told myself it was temporary. Then came the call at 2 a.m. Chase had been pulled over.
DUI.
My parents were panicked. I wired the retainer to the lawyer before the sun came up. Still, no one ever said thank you. Not once. Instead, I got text chains about how amazing Chase was doing. A group photo when he got his new tattoo. A Facebook post when he fixed up an old motorcycle with parts 1 paid for. I didn't want recognition. I didn't need applause. I just wanted to matter. A birthday card. A seat at the table. A moment where someone saw me not for what I could do, but for who I was. But in that house, love came in two forms: Chase's chaos and my checkbook. And if you weren't performing either, you were invisible. Turns out, in that house, money mattered more than I ever did. When I got the promotion, I thought maybe, just maybe, this would be the moment they'd see me. I didn't expect balloons or a banner.
But a smile?
A warm hug? We're proud of you? Instead, my brother laughed. So, what? You get to boss people around now. My mom smirked. Just don't get cocky, sweetie. Dad didn't say much. Just nodded and asked if I'd remembered to transfer the mortgage by the 15th. That was it. The next week, I overheard something I wasn't meant to hear. I had stopped by my parents' place to drop off a grocery haul. The fridge was nearly empty. I was in the hallway when I heard my mother on the phone with my aunt. "We're just trying to keep her grounded," she said. A pause. Then, "No, she's not really supporting us. She just helps out sometimes." I froze. Helps out? I'd been covering their house payments, their food, their car insurance, Chase's lawyer, even paid off the credit card debt they swore they didn't know how they accumulated. And yet, they'd reduced me to a side character in my own story. It clicked then: success wasn't something they wanted for me. It was something they resented, because it meant I was no longer under them, no longer proving my worth with every swipe of a card. I had outgrown the narrative they built for me, the dependable one who always says yes, always shows up, always sacrifices. To them, that version of me was useful. This one? The woman who sat in a boardroom, who made strategic calls, who signed contracts. This version was a threat. The cold shoulders made sense.
The small jabs.
The missed calls. The fake smiles at family dinners.
They weren't proud of me.
They were afraid I'd start asking for something in return. So instead, they twisted the truth. Told the family I was doing fine but didn't help much. That I was too busy for them. That Chase had stepped up lately. That they were holding things down. They rewrote the script, turned my loyalty into an optional favor, my sacrifices into a footnote. Because admitting the truth would mean acknowledging what they'd taken from me. And acknowledging it might mean I'd stop. I looked around their living room. The couch I helped them buy, the TV I set up, the roof I'd kept over their heads. They didn't see me as family. They saw me as financing. I didn't scream. I didn't send a dramatic group text. I didn't even confront them. Instead, I opened my laptop and got to work. First, the documentation. Every payment I'd made, every bank transfer, mortgage receipt, grocery Venmo, lawyer's fee. I pulled them one by one, labeled them, color-coded them. No more blurry lines or forgotten favors. I wasn't just the dependable daughter. I had become their accountant, and now I was closing the books. Then I booked a meeting with a lawyer. I didn't need revenge. I needed protection. I asked all the questions. Was I tied to their home? Could they default in my name? Were there any legal bindings I should be aware of? He nodded, impressed at my thoroughness. "You've been very generous," he said, skimming the stack of receipts. "That's one word for it," I replied. He helped me draft a termination of support letter. Just in case. Nothing flashy, nothing confrontational. Just the paperwork version of turning off the faucet. I informed the bank that the automatic transfers were ending immediately. I removed my name from the recurring payments. Unlinked their bills from my account. Set up fraud alerts just in case someone got creative. Then I printed a final mortgage statement, circled the remaining balance, and tucked it into an envelope. On the front, I wrote 3 simple words in clean, even handwriting. "Try your luck." I slid it under their front door the next morning. I stood on the porch for a moment after, half expecting someone to swing it open, to catch me, to demand an explanation. But the house was still, quiet. It felt strange, peaceful, even. There was no scene, no confrontation. Just the soft click of my heels on their driveway as I walked away for the last time. No announcement. No fireworks. Just a decision. A clean break. Because the truth is, you don't need to blow up a bridge that was never solid to begin with. You just stop crossing it. You don't announce your exit. You just stop showing up to play their game. That night, The neighborhood was lit up like any quiet suburb, porch lights glowing, sprinklers hissing in the distance, a warm breeze rustling the hedges. Their house stood at the end of the cul-de-sac.
Perfect.
Comfortable, entirely funded by me, and empty. They were still out somewhere, lifting cocktails to my brother's new jet ski like he discovered fire. I'd seen the Instagram stories. Their cheeks flushed, mouths wide with laughter. "So proud of you, baby," Mom had commented under the post. I parked across the street, lights off. My hands didn't shake as I pulled the envelope from my purse. Inside was everything: a final mortgage statement, the termination of support notice, copies of payments I'd made over the past 3 years. And the note. Just one sentence, written with the same care I used to write their birthday cards. Let him pay it. I walked across the lawn I'd kept green with my money and slipped the envelope into their mailbox. No key. No knock. No drama. Just the quiet arrival of accountability. Then I left. The next morning, I turned my phone off. I wasn't available for the fallout, but I knew when it started. By Wednesday, the mortgage company had called them.
Twice.
By Friday, they'd received a certified letter. Past due, late fees added. By Saturday, I turned my phone back on long enough to check my voicemail. My dad's voice, once so quick to dismiss, now cracked with panic. "Emily, it's your father. We got something from the bank. Did you cancel the payments? Just call me back. Please." I didn't. Mom texted, then called, then tried to loop in my aunt, who sent a 3-paragraph message about family responsibilities. I blocked them all. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was full of realization. They had never heard it before, not from me. I was the one who picked up, who sent the money, who said yes even when I wanted to scream. But this time, I gave them nothing. No reaction. No reply. Just reality, delivered in an envelope. They wanted to make me feel small by excluding me. They forgot who held the foundation together. And now they felt the floor shift beneath them. Because the silence they gave me, I returned with interest. It didn't take long for the cracks to show. My brother, the golden child, the pride of every family group chat, said he'd take over the payments. Loudly.
Publicly.
Like it was nothing. "I got this," he told my parents, puffing out his chest like a cartoon hero. "It's just a mortgage." The bank didn't care about his confidence. 2 weeks later, the first missed payment hit. He scrambled, sold the jet ski at a loss. Still wasn't enough. By the end of the month, the house entered pre-foreclosure. A letter nailed it to their front door, in words even pride couldn't rewrite. That's when the storm really started.
My dad showed up outside my apartment building.
I watched him through the peephole for nearly 10 minutes before he finally gave up. Later, his message came through. "After all we did for you, Emily. After raising you. After everything. How can you do this to us?" I wanted to laugh. Not out of spite, but from the absurdity. Everything? They didn't pay for college. They didn't show up to my graduation. They forgot my promotion dinner. Everything I had, I earned despite them. Not because of them. I didn't reply. A few days later, my mom called. She didn't leave a voicemail. She just cried. Soft sobs echoing over the line, like I was supposed to mistake it for music. I listened. Then I pressed delete. No anger. No cruelty. Just a choice. One they'd made 100 times, when they skipped my wins, dismissed my worth, prioritized my brother's wants over my needs. They taught me how to detach. I just finally learned the lesson. Now they were the ones calling, begging, hoping. And I was the one staying silent. I didn't need revenge. I needed peace. And peace didn't look like saving people who only remembered me when it was time to pay. The golden child was broke. The parents were rattled. The roof was slipping. And I was finally free of the weight. For years, I paid their way. They never thought I'd walk away. My new place smelled like paint and possibility. It wasn't huge, just a bright, modern 2-bedroom condo downtown, but it was mine. Paid in full. No roommates, no parents, no strings. No one else's name on the door. No one calling when they needed help with bills. No one watching my success with a grimace instead of a smile. I stood in the center of the empty living room and just listened to the quiet. Real quiet. Not the kind that follows disappointment, the kind that means freedom. A week after moving in, I launched something that had lived in the back of my mind for years. A podcast. I called it The Forgotten Firstborn. Each week, I told stories, my own and others like me, about being the responsible one. The invisible one. The one who carried too much and got credit for nothing. Turns out, there are a lot of us. The show took off. What started with 20 listeners became 200, then 2,000. Women messaged from every time zone. You're telling my story. I thought it was just me. It wasn't. We were out here, building lives while dragging emotional anchors. I just happened to cut mine loose. When I wasn't recording, I mentored a small group of high school girls in financial literacy and boundary setting. I showed them how to read contracts, spot manipulation, and trust the word no as a full sentence. It was healing. For them and for me. As for my family, we went low contact. I didn't block them. I just stopped replying. Birthdays passed. Holidays came and went. No more surprise payments, no more bailouts. They were no longer my responsibility. I checked the county records once, out of curiosity. The house had been sold at auction. A new family lived there now. I hope they fill it with better memories. My brother? He deleted the jet ski photos from Instagram. Last I heard, he moved in with a friend. My parents stopped calling eventually. Maybe they got tired. Maybe they finally understood. Either way, silence again. But this time, it was mine. And I cherished every second of it. Sometimes I'd sit on my balcony with a cup of tea, listening to the city, smiling at the sky like I owed it a thank you. Because I was no longer a background character in my own life. I was building something real, lasting, entirely mine. They didn't get to decide my worth anymore. They didn't get to decide me anymore. I was always the afterthought.
Until I stopped thinking of them.
Exactly 1 year to the day, I walked back into that restaurant. Same white tablecloths. Same host who'd looked at me with pity last time. This time, he grinned when he saw me. "Welcome back, Miss Carson," he said, gesturing to the private dining room. "Your party's already here." My heels clicked against the marble floor like punctuation marks to a sentence I finally got to finish. Inside, the room glowed with laughter. My coworkers, my closest friends, the people who saw me,
Celebrated me.
showed up when it counted. No one asked me for money. No one pretended I didn't matter. The table was full, not just of food and gifts, but of respect. I took my seat at the head. This time, the dinner wasn't paid for with guilt. It was earned. I stood up and held my glass high. "To the family we choose," I said, my voice steady, strong. "And to the day we stop waiting for people to see our worth and just start living like we already know it." Glasses clinked. Cheers rose. And for the first time in years, I felt free. Later that night, as the last of the wine was poured and someone pulled out a Polaroid, my phone buzzed. A message from my cousin. "Heard they might lose the house. Your dad's been asking around. Just thought you should know." I stared at the screen. Thought of my father's text from a year ago. "You're not exactly a priority right now." Thought of the night they laughed while I sat alone. And then, I left the message on read. No reply. No follow-up. No wait. It wasn't bitterness. It was peace. I didn't need revenge. I didn't need closure from them. I was already closed. The waiter brought out dessert. A small cake with congratulations, Emily written in gold icing. My friends cheered again. Someone popped a bottle of champagne. And I smiled, not the forced kind I used to give at family gatherings, but the real kind. The kind that comes when you finally stop begging people to see you and build a life where you're impossible to ignore. My story didn't end with a fight. It ended with me choosing joy, without their permission. Because they skipped my table once. Now, they don't even have a seat.